Hello everyone. Let's jump straight into a concept that helps us measure how grown up an organization is when it comes to handling uncertainty. And that is the risk maturity model. In a professional sense, a risk maturity model is a framework used to assess the sophistication and effectiveness of an organization's risk management processes, typically ranging from ad hoc activities to a fully integrated strategic culture. Now, in plain English, this is just a report card for how a company handles its maybes. It asks the question, are we just reacting to disasters as they happen, or do we have a professional system in place to see them coming? Think of it like a person learning to cook. At the beginning, they are just trying not to burn the toast. That's low maturity. But a master chef has a system for everything, from shopping to plating. That's high maturity. I once worked with a company that thought they were experts, but every time a risk occurred, they ran around like the building was on fire. They had a maturity of a toddler. Stay with me here because knowing where your company stands on this scale is the only way to help them improve. So now that we've mastered the idea that maturity is a measure of our risk wisdom, you might be wondering what the very first, most basic level looks like. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is level 1, the ad hoc stage. At the very bottom of the ladder, we find the ad hoc or initial level of maturity. Formally, this level is characterized by a lack of formal processes, where risk management is reactive, inconsistent, and depends entirely on the individual heroics of a few people. To put that in very simple terms, this is the firefighting stage. There is no plan, no templates, and no memory of what went wrong last time. Let's break this down together. Imagine a group of friends deciding to go on a 10-mile hike with no map, no water, and no weather check. If it rains, they just complain and get wet. That's ad hoc risk management. You've probably seen this at work when a project manager says, "We'll deal with problems when they arrive." They think they are being flexible, but they are actually just unprepared. So, now that we've mastered the chaotic world of the ad hoc stage, you might be wondering what happens when a company finally starts writing things down. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is level 2, the formalized stage. Now watch how this connects, because as a company grows, it moves into the formalized or repeatable level. In a professional sense, this level is reached when the organization has established basic risk management processes and templates that are used on some, but perhaps not all projects. In everyday language, this is the "we have a spreadsheet" stage. The company has finally realized that guessing isn't a strategy, so they've created a few rules. Think of it like that same group of hikers from before. This time, they've bought a map and someone brought a first aid kit. They aren't experts yet, but they are trying to be consistent. I remember a project where we had a beautiful risk register, but nobody ever looked at it after the first meeting. We were formalized on paper, but not yet in our hearts. So now that we've mastered the idea of having the right tools, but perhaps not the right habits, you might be wondering how we make risk management a mandatory part of the project's DNA. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is level 3, the managed stage. Let's take it a step deeper into the managed or defined level of maturity. Formally, at this level, risk management processes are documented, standardized, and integrated into all project management activities across the entire organization. In simple English, this is the no excuses stage. It's no longer optional. Every project, big or small, follows the same rule book. Let's break this down together. This is like a professional trekking company. They have a checklist for every hike, a radio for every guide, and a mandatory safety briefing for every guest. It doesn't matter if the sun is shining. They follow the process because the process works. You have likely seen this at work when the PMO requires a risk report before they will release any budget. The organization has decided that managing risk is just how we do business. So, now that we've mastered the world where everyone follows the rules, you might be wondering how we move from just following rules to actually using risk to make the company smarter. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is level 4, the integrated or strategic stage. Don't worry, we'll take it slow here because this is where the real RMP magic happens. the strategic or integrated level. In a professional sense, this is where risk management is not just a project activity, but a core part of the organization's strategic planning and decision making at the executive level. To put that in plain English, this is the risk is a weapon stage. The big bosses don't just ask, is the project safe? They ask, which of these risky opportunities will make us the most money? They are using risk to win. Think of it like a high-tech racing team. They don't just have brakes to slow down, they use their knowledge of the car's limits to drive faster through the corners than anyone else. At the office, this is when the CEO looks at your risk report to decide which new country to expand into. So now that we've mastered the idea of risk as a tool for winning, you might be wondering if there is a perfect level where we stop and rest. Now, that brings us right into our final step, which is level 5, the adaptive or optimizing stage. To wrap this all together, we reach the top of the mountain, the optimizing or adaptive stage. Formally, this is a state of continuous improvement where the organization uses lessons learned and real-time data to constantly refine and perfect its risk management approach. In very simple terms, this is the always getting better stage. You never stop. You look at every win and every loss and ask, how can we make the system even stronger for next time? It's like an elite athlete who analyzes their heartbeat and their stride after every single practice. As an RMP, your job is to lead the company up this mountain. You want to move them from the firefighting of level 1 to the chess playing of level 5. And that, my friends, is the essence of risk maturity models. It's a journey from chaos to competitive advantage. So now that we have mastered the full journey from the toddler's report card to the master chef's kitchen, you are ready to see how this context shapes every governance decision we make. We are going to discuss project governance in details in next chapter.